to say. Guys, welcome.
Yeah. Hello, hello.
Hello, guys. Welcome to our podcast. This is a partnership with my partner Christiani. We got a guest today. His name is Josh, and this is Living Out Loud. Guys, welcome. My name is Pat Veracity. I am from Laos. That's why it's called Living Out Loud. But I got a special guest today with my co-host Christian. She's my co-host today. So, Chris, hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Woo!
good. Hey, guys. Yes, co-hosting today. So happy to have Josh. He's so
Appreciate you guys
amazing.
so
So
much. Thank you.
amazing.
Awesome, guys. Well, all right, cool. So we have three people today. Something a little bit different. So all right. So today, guys, we are from Atlanta, Georgia. So Josh has been a partner of mine on some deals, and we've become great friends. So Josh, man, what's up, buddy? Man, how have you been? And also tell the audience about who you are, where you're from.
I came to Atlanta November of 2022. Um, I moved from California. I was one of them, but I was in that group of people that apparently migrated over here post pandemic or whatever. But yeah, I was in Los Angeles. I was in the music business before real estate. I was already doing wholesaling in Los Angeles before I moved
So
out
can
here.
we call you carpetbaggers? Do they say that in there, or is that people from up north? What is that, carpetbaggers?
I don't know. That sounds like a racial slur. I'm not sure. Maybe that sounds crazy.
That's what in school they're like. Hey, people from at least right. If you were in school, you never heard that term
Pat,
before.
Pat, come
I
on,
don't
man.
think so.
Seriously, let's just drop it right here.
I
Oh,
think
okay,
Okay.
I might have.
guys,
I
those of you guys that are in at least when I was in school, they're like, oh, carpetbaggers. Like that,
Okay.
I love saying that term, carpetbaggers. But that
Right,
is from up north.
right.
I don't think you count. I don't think you can. You're from the
That's
West Coast.
hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, and then I came out here, and I honestly wish we came out here sooner. We love it. It's amazing.
From what part of California?
Los Angeles, West Hollywood in
West
particular.
Hollywood.
Mhm.
Cool. What is your background? Tell us a little bit more. So you're in the music industry, man. That
I
sounds
was.
cool.
Yeah, it was.
Is that like what we think? Like, oh my gosh, he's like, what did you do? Were you like the producer,
Yeah,
the
I was
writer?
I was a producer first, very baby songwriting stuff. I was a producer first, and then I was an A&R, which was interesting. I kind of got the opportunity to work with a lot of artists that most people know. In the studio with everybody you
Who?
can
Oh,
think
oh,
of.
hold on. Who? We got a name.
Oh man, a lot
Name
of
names.
worked with a lot of people. I don't know, Justin Bieber, French Montana, like anybody you can think of. I met Jay Z, Beyonce, Pharrell, like all these people. So it was fun. I was at the Grammys. Um, it was fun, but the business never kind of sat right with my spirit. And I know that it sounds corny to maybe some because like, oh no, that's cool. It's a cool job, but in reality, it never sat right. I've been with my fiance 10 years. I've only ever wanted to work and kind of come back home to us and our dogs and just kind of
Yes.
do our thing. You know what I mean? And there is so much of that business that wasn't conducive to who I actually wanted to be, like as a man
Okay.
and a person, really. Most of it fed my ego. So after a lot of introspection, I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. It just isn't. And it came, I was like, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be as a man, as a provider, as a future husband, father, whatever? And as I wrote all these things down, the return on my time investment in the music business, as cool as it was, it just wasn't there. And then I came across wholesaling, and like literally 21 days later, I made $50,000, and I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
this
What
is
a
way."
year. What
I
a
was like, "This
year.
is way better than the music business." So it was so funny because I didn't even want to tell my fiance that I was. That's how in the ego I thought I was. I was like, "Oh, I don't want to tell her that I'm transitioning out of the music stuff because what if like she doesn't think I'm cool or whatever, even though she obviously loves me. So like, but I was like, this is a cooler thing. Like, oh, you can tell people, oh, his phone's blown up because they want him in the studio with so and so or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was so funny where I literally kept it a secret, and I randomly made an Uber Eats account because I was like, if I'm gonna again return on my time investment, I started driving for dollars. I was like, if I'm going to drive for dollars, I'm going to get paid to drive for dollars. So I was literally driving around in a Tesla, Uber Eating, and people are like, "Why is this guy dropping off my food?" Uh, so yeah, and then
But
that
what year? What year was that?
2021.
Wow.
Man, you gave me
2021.
a great idea. I'm gonna drive for dollars and do Uber
Yeah,
Eats. I'm gonna do
honestly.
the exact same thing.
So you know
I'm gonna
what's
do the
funny is because I didn't know the market out here when I first got here. I started doing that here for like a week. I was like, no, this is dumb. Like I stopped, but I didn't know the market. So I was like, let me drive around and see. But what that whole thing taught me, I didn't get a deal from driving for dollars. I just made like, I don't know, $80 a week or whatever. Um, it made me realize, and I kind of did the whole thing where like I was following everybody on social media who you're supposed to. I shed my whole persona of like the previous version I created. It. That's where Forward Thinking Josh came from. I made that account only revolving around real estate. Every feed I had, whether it was Facebook, whatever, was only real estate related, only creative finance related. So if I was driving for dollars or Uber Eating, I was listening to a podcast. I was learning deal structures. Anytime I opened my phone to not make a call or text, it was feeding me. So I was pretty much training my subconscious to just to know how to do these things for a long time. And then, yeah, I kind of wholesaled. And then that's where my on market stuff came from.
now, Josh, you talked about shedding your old self. I mean, what was that? Tell tell us more about that process, right? You went from being in the studios with Justin Bieber and all these big names, and so I want to dig deep into that a little bit more, right, before we kind of move on. And
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like it was absolutely. I believe we should constantly be um, evolving into a new version of ourselves. I don't think it ever ends, right? I think that
yes,
is part of our purpose is to endlessly reach for our potential and see how far we can get while we're here. And so, yeah, I think with that, I was just like, this is a version that just is no longer serving me, my fiance, my family, how I want to provide emotionally, what physically, financially, all of the above. So I read a lot. There's books all the time. I always read a lot. If you look at my Instagram, it's literally just book quotes because I don't like pictures. So yeah, I read a lot, and I again the book that I talked about on a recent Zoom was Power of Your Subconscious Mind, one of my favorite books. So I was like, you know what? If I can kind of retrain myself to kind of be this other version, or at least the next version, the next iteration of myself I want to be, and have that revolve around real estate, I need to kind of train myself. So I deleted all my personal social medias, only created a business one for Forward Thinking Josh, is my company's Forward Thinking Real Estate Holdings. And I was like, you know what? Just everything that feeds to me and my subconscious has to be real estate related or personal growth related because I don't think any success can coexist without personal growth
that
in
is
any
that.
business.
Yes, that is so true.
So like, do you, because I did that to me too. I believe everything that you're saying. I think, like we're here to find our purpose. We're always trying to grow personally. And that's more important. Of course, podcasts are wonderful. YouTube, learning all of that is good. But if
Yeah,
you don't have the mindset to see yourself doing the things and preparing yourself to be able to do those things, it doesn't matter, right?
at
So,
all.
so, so do you have, like, for me, I'm like, okay, so what is gonna take, like, I have my goals, and what is gonna take, what my new identity needs to be now to be able to be that person, to be able
Yeah,
to do those things that I want to do, and I start acting that person
exactly.
today.
Yeah,
Yes,
Today,
yes.
but you have a vision, right? Like, you have a vision where, for example, for me, inside my mindset, I'm thinking like, hey, Christiane, so how do you see yourself in 2 years, 1 year, 5 year? And I like, I'm gonna act like that person. How would that Christiane in 2 years would do? Like,
Yes.
for one time, I had to change my friends around me. This, like, two
100%.
years ago. Oh my
Yes.
goodness! So did
100%.
that happen to you too? Like, but when did you move to Atlanta again?
November of 22. The first, so
Okay.
almost exactly 2 years ago, actually. So November
Wow.
7th, I believe, of 2022.
Guys, sorry,
And
just sorry to interrupt for 2 seconds. Chris, I don't know if you're still on your ear, but it's distorted, and also your screen is very distorted. I don't know if you can fix that or not, but just
Do,
technical.
do you see the same thing, Josh?
no, I don't.
It was
Can,
getting
can
very what do you call it?
It
very
was getting fuzzy for a second,
oh
but
yes, that's correct,
yeah,
yes.
it almost looked like a bad connection, maybe.
Connection, yeah, that's what it, yeah, because we're on similar connections, but your connection is not. I'm talking about the visual and also the
Okay.
speaker, so
Okay. Yeah, Pat is way more HD. He looks more HD than you do.
Hmm.
yes.
Okay. Good to know.
I'm saying that because she has another podcast right after this, so I'm just trying to
Oh, okay.
correct
Okay.
te- technical difficulties. It's a little bit better now, Chris. But guys,
Okay.
great stuff. I mean, you're so true. I mean, these are the stuff that because it's just oh my gosh, like. And Josh, you and I've talked a lot, and it's just one of those things. Like for me, every freaking morning, guys, like I get up and I'm battling my own self, right?
Always.
I listen to the, I do the, I try, I don't do it often, but I do the Miracle Mornings, right? And then every morning I have to put in this podcast when I'm driving, and it's like self-taught, and it's telling me in a certain way, it's like, oh, how good you are, right? But it's not really, but I just like as an example. And it's like every day I have to go through this like self set. And I know I'm a pretty confident person, but I
Mhm.
have to battle myself every single day,
It's
and
true.
like you said, when you open up the Zoom, it's like, cut off the noise, cut off the politics, cut off everything that you see, the people and all the stuff around you, even
Mhm.
sometimes social media because we're so drawn to it. But to everything that we're feeding into our minds, it has to be, like it's like your body. Like you want to feed good health into your mind, and you want to get rid of noise. But you're so true because that's something that I lately have been battling a lot and been working on myself constantly.
Yeah, it's
But it's
tough. It has to
also
be conducive to the version of yourself you want to be, just like she said.
yes, it's also what you feeding yourself, right? We not only feed
Always.
ourselves with our body, we feed ourselves with our mind, and
Mm-hmm.
that is so important. Yeah.
100%. 100%. I couldn't agree more at all. It's so true. And to your point, Christiane, it reminded me of this quote that is actually on my blackboard. I have a lot of reminders from random books, like one-liners, and the quote is, "You can't think yourself into a new way of acting. You have to act yourself into a new way of thinking." And that's exactly what you were talking about. You're like, oh yeah, well, I want to be this in 2 years, so let me go ahead and act accordingly, and make sure that my actions are conducive to that version, that future version of myself. Because you can't just think about it like, oh yeah, that sounds nice. I'm going to be do this, and that. With no action, you will never get there. It's imaginary at that point.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can
So
you
I
repeat
really,
that one more
Yeah.
time for the audience? Repeat that again. That's amazing.
you can't think your way into a new way of acting. You have to act yourself into a new way of thinking.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So
So so good. It's let's see, handful of quotes up there on the blackboard. I don't think they're
true.
probably not legible, but yeah, they're great. And again, it's because, also to your point, Pat, it's because I'm also battling myself every day,
Yes.
and I have those reminders up there that are just like, okay, friendly reminders. You know what I mean? Everywhere I can. Also in the car. It what's funny is, from someone who was in the music business, spending hours and hours and hours making these records for whether they were artists or Pixar movies or whatever the case may be, to not, I don't listen to music at the gym anymore. I haven't in years. Like I don't, my fiance jokes like I'm some sort of psychopath because I don't I listen to books and podcasts all the time.
Me too.
Unless there's people around me, it's a book or a podcast.
Yeah.
And it becomes addicting, also like physical fitness actually, where once you see results, you're going to become addicted. So once I realized like, oh, I can actually hack my mind into I could like puppet string my life. That's crazy. Let me go ahead and keep doing this. And it becomes an actual addiction to where you just want to keep, but why would you stop? If
That's
you're
so
seeing the
true.
results of this stuff, um, yeah, it's very addicting.
It's like you can rewire it, right? Like it's just kind of, because
100%. Yeah.
sometimes, in medicine, right? Like people, like you put stuff in your body, you take pills, but actually your mind is also part of that too, and you can actually rewire yourself by the input that you put in, and that's go back to what I was saying, like. I listen to this damn thing every single day, and I'm like, does it get boring? And he says the same damn thing, right? It's the same thing. Like, oh, you can do it. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, you're great. But it makes me feel better. And I was like, okay, this is. I used to laugh at myself, like, why am I listening to this? I know
Yeah,
I
I see
need
that
it,
too.
right? That's my medicine. Like I need it. That's my pill. That
And
that instead
develop
of
it
getting it from
as
the
you're getting
doctor.
it. Hmm.
Yes. So it's just
I
it's
love
just fun.
it.
Yeah.
It's necessary, man, and it's part of being. See, even that in itself is a form of resourcefulness, in my opinion. where it's like you guys know very well that our whole business is based off of, any entrepreneur really is based off of being resourceful. So even that being like, okay, I'm feeling down. What can I do? I need to figure something out. And you figured it out, and it works, and it keeps you going. And it's nothing is actually more exciting to me. I mean, I love our business, but nothing's really more exciting to me than what we're able to kind of do with our minds and our subconscious and everything.
That's so true, and it's amazing how we, like and then we find other people that's like us, right? And then we're like, okay, so it's normal.
Yeah, it's the thing.
That
Like,
was
oh my
me.
God, I'm not crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Because I isolate myself a ton. Like I said, before your guys' Friday Zooms, I was just doing deals, holed up in my office with that shutter closed, and really not showing my face. Like just doing deals and minding my business. You know what I mean? Because that's all I've ever wanted to do is just work and be
Yes.
happy. I'm fairly simple, so I'm super grateful for you guys.
Well, awesome,
So
awesome.
nice, so nice. Yes,
So,
but
okay,
but
so go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
yeah, no, I just want to hear. So you came to Atlanta, and then here is when you decided, okay, so this is my new. I want to restart my life, or new chapter.
Mhm.
And then and then that's when. What did you do first? Did you went to meetups, or
I
I know
did.
you do you
I,
see what I mean? Like, what
yeah.
was
So
your, because we can tell about ours, I think, and yeah.
I'd love to hear about it. Yeah. So when I moved here November 7th, I believe, of 2022, I was, and I got the house on a creative deal, which was fun. Still my best creative deal to date. But yeah, thanks to wholesaling, I took the end of Q4 off and all of Q1 off to kind of help my family get acclimated. Because we brought my fiance, and our dogs, and just to kind of make sure everybody was comfortable, they felt home, because it's bringing everybody across the country, like you don't want anything to feel foreign. So just making sure everybody felt good and cozy. And I was like, I don't like meetups, which is funny. So I was like, damn, I know nobody out here. Like I have to go to a meetup. So I went to one. My buddy Hector and Vince. I think you guys might know them.
I know
Uh,
Vance.
yeah, yeah. You may know
Yeah.
them. Yeah, Hector and Vince. They were Ryan Pineda's like um, Atlanta head for his wealthy investor, I believe it is, or feature flipper. I think it was at the time.
Yeah,
And
wealthy investor now. Yes.
yeah, and they were having a meetup down the street from my house. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta go to this one. Like, let me just go. We know similar people because I knew that some of the future flipper people in Los Angeles. So okay, let me go and see what's going on. And I'm over there asking about creative finance stuff, and it was happening here, but they looked at me like I was crazy. So yeah. Anyway, that ended up being a great meetup. I went there and I sat next to someone who nobody was speaking to, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I'm Josh. Like, I just moved here." Her name was Kristen, and she's actually closed so many of my deals. She was a closing attorney. She was speaking at the event. So that's the first person I met, and I was like, "This is great." I was like, "Hey, I prefer to do these type of deals. Like, can you close them? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to talk about flipping and like wholesaling here, but I like to wholesale, but I like to wholesale these type of deals. Can you do that?" And she was like, "Oh, I love seller finance deals. I make more on the insurance policy and blah blah blah." Like, which they do because they don't make a ton from closing deals. It's from the insurance policies. And so yeah, it worked out well, and she's closed the majority of my seller finance deals,
Wow.
and that was that. And I took a few relationships from that, but Kristen was the most important one by far, and she's one of my favorite people.
Wow.
Amazing.
And when you say insurance, is title insurance, those type of insurance, lenders insurance? Is that
Correct.
what you're
The
talking
lenders
about?
policy, yeah, is they'll make
Wow.
more on. So with that, and I learned that too, which was interesting. They don't make a ton from actually closing these transactions. It's actual the title policies, the lender's insurance policy that they make more from. So every time I'm bringing a seller finance transaction, someone else is making money off it, which is great. It's better for them.
Yeah.
And if it's better for my closing attorney, then I can now recommend somebody else to speak to my closing attorney because they trust a closing attorney over somebody who's trying to buy their property. And
Ah, you're right.
I mean, granted, I do what I say. So
Damn.
she is a perfect person to speak to all the
So,
time.
so do you guys heard that? I mean, it's you get your closing attorney to be your referral in
Yeah.
case a seller. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I never tell them. I'm like, hey, I'll tell them blatantly, like, hey, I can tell you whatever you want to hear. I'm trying to buy this place. Why don't you call this person? Call this closing attorney. She's closed all
Oh
these.
goodness.
Call
That,
this agent. It was her first seller finance deal. She didn't know what it was. Call this broker. If you're asking me why somebody would do this, he's a broker. He's a broker owner. He's an agent. He's an investor. Ask him why he sold me a deal at 0% interest. I don't know, but he did. So like, and
oh,
yeah. So when
that's
they
good.
go and ask them, then they can't really have anything else to say unless they just don't want to do the deal because they don't like it. But
Yes.
it's an answer to every question, every legitimate question they could possibly have.
So you got into seller financing, right? We talk about creative things here.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
why do you specialize, or why did you say, this is what I'm gonna do from now on? Why that niche or niche?
This also might sound corny, but I genuinely, I felt kind of slimy doing traditional wholesale deals because my money, how I was getting paid on those was I had to lowball the seller to get paid on it.
That's correct.
Granted,
Yes.
I've had amazing assignment fees, $50,000 assignment fees here and there, but I didn't like the way it felt. It started not feeling good, kind of the same way it started not aligning with who I was, like the music business did. It's like, oh, this isn't sitting well with me. Let me make some adjustments.
Yes.
So I did. I was like, how can I adjust to where I can create a win-win situation? And that's where I realized seller finance. Like it came across subject too, but I was like, oh, the loan staying in their name, it's still a bit. It's not. They're not going to feel super great unless it's a very specific situation. So I came across seller finance. I was like, oh, this kind of checks all the boxes in terms of a win for the seller, a win for the buyer, a win for the agent if there's an agent on the deal, and it worked. And I just kind of, again, I just kind of acted my way into thinking that, and I started doing it, and it's haven't stopped. So we
Good.
haven't stopped yet. So it's been working well, and yeah,
So so for the audience, guys. So guys, we're talking to Josh Matthews. So Josh Matthews is coming from the music industry from California. He's now here on the East Coast in Atlanta. He's been a great friend of ours. We've done deals together, and what he practices is, Josh, you can tell us a little bit more. So you are the owner finance a real estate investor, right? So tell the audience what is that? People who don't know, what is it that you do? What does Josh do? Josh is the ex music executive. Now he's coming into real estate investing. Give us a little bit more about that. Tell us more about you, Josh.
yeah. So the music business was cool. It was fun. I have a lot of stories that most people probably don't, and it's cool for like a crazy story night or whatever on a campfire. But other than that, it was cool, but it didn't resonate with who I was as a person and who I wanted to be as, again, a provider financially, whatever. So um, the value add there is kind of it's very surface level. I felt like in the music business, where sure there's those records where you can write or help, where they might save someone's life or whatever, but I just felt like it wasn't aligned with who I was. And currently, at least this version of myself, that vehicle to take me where I want to go, wealth wise, financially, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, as a man, is real estate's that current vehicle
What was
right
that
now.
breaking point for you, though? What was the breaking point
The
to
return
convert?
on my time investment, sitting down and saying, okay, this is if I'm in the studio from 9 p.m. to 6, 7, 8 a.m. and I'm away from the person I love and what our home and all these things in hopes of this record landing and getting placed in this movie or on this album or whatever.
Okay.
Um, why would I do that? Like, what am I doing? It was literally just like as I'm writing all these things down, like, what the hell am I doing? This doesn't make any sense. And then I was just like, okay, I know I know the way I think. I know I'm capable of really just kind of doing whatever I decide to do. And once I reevaluate everything, it's okay. I'm going to double down on this. This is going to be actually amazing. I'm about to play real life Monopoly. let's go. And I just kind of went all in and stumbled my way into finding a little bit of success with it. Yeah.
But bro, man, you hang out with Justin Bieber. You the man. Like that's how. Come
No,
on, you know?
so, you know what's so funny is all these people. I have a very funny story about Mariah Carey too in that same studio actually. But dude, it's interesting. Yeah, it's cool. Like so, certain things will trigger some of those memories, right? Like if I hear a song, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when he played us this in the studio before it came out. That's a cool story. But what did it do for me and my family? Nothing.
So true. So true.
Purely ego. And
Yes,
when I
that's the word.
removed my ego from it, that's when I was like, okay, like I'm like, oh yeah, I can watch my phone blow up, and it'll be like that was also a real story. Oh, Justin Bieber's at record plant, like we need you here, like he's locked in for a week, he's next door, we have records for him. And I actually did. I had one on my fiance actually had written the song, and it was on my desktop, and I was like, oh great, maybe we can work something out here. But again, it's always that hope. And it's like, yeah, that feels good when you're like, yeah, you do need me there, don't you? You know, it's like an ego thing. It's not anything but making you feel good, which in reality is some sort of buffer for any inadequacies you may actually have spiritually,
Oh
mentally.
yeah.
Once I got rid of that, I was like, okay, I don't, yeah, okay, cool. They need you there. Then what? Like you still aren't providing how you want to for your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
You know,
who gives a shit who wants to anywhere? Like it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
You know,
Mhm.
our story was when we used to own a chain of salons, and we had, you know, in Atlanta here, we had a lot of movies that were starting to come in. You know, we had like
Oh yeah.
Alicia Silverstone, I think it was her name, and Brandy, right? So we had these artists
Yeah.
that were coming in, and you know, you get to take pictures, you get to like, hey, they came to my business, and you feel
Mhm.
great about it, right? But after a
Yeah.
while, you're like, wait a minute, you know, they're coming in, but what? Yeah, they're paying, and they're, you know, they're paying dollars, but does that bring us any more business? Does that help anywhere, you know, on the bottom line? And it may help a few, but at the end of the day, in my, at least in, you know, in my recollection, my memory, I'm like, but it doesn't really help. Like we still got to do the day
Yeah.
to day. We
The
still got to
reality
do.
sets in very quickly. You're like, okay,
Yes,
that was cool.
exactly. Yes, yes. Like, oh yeah, so came to my business. Oh wow, I hung out with so and so, or I saw so and so. But after a while, it's like that. It didn't change. It didn't change. You know, uh, it didn't put more money in my pocket. It didn't change much. And then you realize that you still got to do the day to day grind, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's the same exact sentiment. The same thing.
Yes.
So that's where I really was like, okay, let me figure something else out. And I'm grateful that in this day and age, I'm able to pull out my phone and find a complete career change. Sorry about that. Find a complete,
Dogs got
He
excited.
was not happy about your career change. She said, "Do
dude.
not change your career here at home."
You know what's funny is, relax, buddy. Go. Go ahead. These people got to start ringing the doorbell. All this. So out here in my neighborhood, they're emailing. Oh, here we go. That's some email buy box area, very specific in quotes. Uh, yeah, so these people they're throwing a whole bunch of campaign stuff out right now, and every time they drop one, they ring the doorbell, and the dogs go crazy. So like, I got to put a note out there for all these people dropping bandit signs essentially on my front door.
Crazy, crazy.
So tell the audience. So now, what do you do in real estate? Give us like a quick overview, right? So who is Josh Matthews, and what does he do? Especially us in the real estate world. What is it that you do specifically?
So now my only focus is I do deals on market, and I structure seller finance deals, creative finance deals, and it's kind of it's the niche that I've decided to double down on. I only pursued homes that are owned 100% free and clear, and that I can structure my own mortgage with the seller directly. And those are the deals I prefer. And sometimes I keep them, and sometimes I will assign them, wholesale them, and get a really good assignment fee, averaging about $25,000 per deal. If I don't
Wow.
keep it, all I have to do is structure it, set up the terms, and I'm very honest and open about it. I'll tell them, hey, I'm not keeping this one, but I have another buyer for you, and here's what they're going to do. They're super reliable, and yeah.
So for people who do not know what is seller finance?
Seller
You
financing,
know, easy 5 year old kind of explanation.
most people buy a house with a mortgage and they pay that off in 30 years or so. Some people don't like mortgages. They might buy it cash and they own that property free and clear. No mortgage, they only pay property taxes and insurance. I like to find those people and structure a mortgage with them. Hey, I know see you own this free and clear. Why don't you become the bank? I'll pay you, you'll make a whole lot more money. You clearly do well. You don't need the money. You could have another property and they might have, that's what's great about these is most of those sellers have a lot more properties to do that with. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I structure the deal with
So,
them.
so you call them even though the house is not on the market or anything. You just kind of call and
Sometimes, yeah, a lot of times it could be a rental, but most of the time it's people who are already on market. I just notice it's free and clear. I'm happy to pay an agent on these deals because they're just going to bring me more deals like that.
yes,
So
exactly.
I don't mind it. I know there's a lot of investors that are like, I don't want to pay an agent's commission, blah blah. I don't care because if that one commission costs me, like it, literally the deal that I'm buying and closing next week, this guy Max is like, hey, he literally called me. That's one of the calls that I was on a second ago, Pat. So he called me. He's like, hey man, like I know you're paying me on this commission, but why don't I just be your agent on every deal and you don't have to really pay me, but because somebody like called him and was like, hey, what do you, on a different offer and was like, hey, how's this deal going? Blah blah. I'm asking about you. He's like, this guy's pretty much asking if you're legit. Obviously, you are. Why don't you have me represent you? You don't really have to pay me on these, and instead, I'll just add to your legitimacy and tell them, hey, this is my client. He knows what he's doing. He has done all these deals. And I was like, actually, that's funny because I was thinking about doing that anyway. So now
Wow,
he doesn't even want to get paid. I paid him one time, and now he wants to represent me on every deal and not get paid on those, just to
amazing.
continue working with me. So it's
Wow.
crazy. It's really really crazy. He also has offered to lend me money, which is insane. So all of these, it's kind of crazy. All of these relationships can kind of be birthed from you just keeping your word, doing what you say, setting proper expectations. Um,
I
Life and business can be very, very simple. I'm a big believer in that. It always, and definitely isn't always like that, but for
yes.
the most part, it can be as simple as we want it to be. And I genuinely do my best to, to, to play my part in doing that.
But you know what I hear when you say that is the fact that whoever this person is that you're talking about, he's that mindset is very rare, right? I know we preach it, we
Yeah.
talk about it more, but
Super.
basically he's saying that what he's saying is that he's adding value to you because he sees value in you, you know? And what we
Yeah.
do, it's there's a lot of people that are going to come and ask 10,000 questions, but they're not always going to be in their mind. And you know, humans are humans, but you don't think about how can I add value to that person. It
Hmm.
took me a very long time, and I'm still learning this, right? How can I go to that person? How can I ask them to add value to that person? Because sometimes we don't know how, but that's what he's saying. You know, you find yourself in a circle of good people, and in our minds is like I don't know, guys. What do you think? Are we trained that way? Are we trained to always ask? And when I'm saying ask, like we ask for help, we ask and we take. But is it something in our mind that we really are not asking the opposite way and say, how can I help you? How can I add value to that person? Because isn't it naturally like we always and I don't know, sometimes we teach our kids like, hey, ask for what you want, ask for what you want. We never say, hey, add value to this person, you know? Does that make sense? Like we say, oh, you can help that person. You can,
Yeah.
hey, go help the old lady across the street, right? Okay, that's one thing. It's something small, it's simple, and it's a one-time deal. But how do you add value in someone's life? You know?
I agree. It's super rare. Absolutely. And I think it's some of it's nurture, some of it's nature, right? I think some people are just born that way. I
Yes.
absolutely think that. And if it is something that is nurtured, it can go away as well, right? If it's something that's nurtured, it's going to be amplified. If it's something that is kind of ignored, it's just going to completely go away and they might turn into a taker. And the reverse is true too, I think, where there's people who aren't born that way, but they realize they don't like how it feels when people take from them, only take, like exclusively almost. So
Yes.
they will go ahead and start giving more and adding more value first. And then once they realize that's the real cheat code to life is like actually adding value first, then they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. and all these things are falling into place for me. I wonder why. And it's like, no, you don't really have to wonder why. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But the more of a deep dive you can go down a rabbit hole just with that in itself
Yeah.
and be like, oh man, not putting myself first is really what's allowing me to put myself first. It's
Yeah,
fun.
but
Yeah, because
in a certain way, right? Like I learned that
Mhm.
later. I wish someone would have told me that earlier. But like, like you growing up in church and you're like, okay, like you're adding value, but sometimes it's empty values. Does that make sense? Like it's just empty values.
Yeah,
But sorry,
surface
Chris,
level.
go ahead.
It's almost very egoic as well. It's like, oh, it's like a virtue signaling type thing where it's almost like I'm doing this because I grew up in the church and that's just what they tell me to do, and it's why, right? Like intent is everything. Another one of my favorite books called The Power of Intention. Wayne Dyer, great book. Ed Milet's kind of mentor, and Ed Milet looks up to him quite a bit. Um, yeah, great book. And it's another one of those random things that I feel like maybe I was born with some sort of knowing that intent mattered more than what you're actually doing. If you're doing a nice thing for somebody, why are you doing it? Oh,
Yes.
because hopefully they give me this on the back end, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Well, how nice was that then? Not very nice. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
yeah, that's the first thing on my blackboard actually is intent is everything and be intentional. So yeah, it's
now I was gonna say because like for us, me and Pat, we had business for so long, and our daily operations pretty much like going to work, meeting the manager, setting up a team, seasons because it's salon, so there's some are really busy, and then we have all of those different things.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're gonna do real, and we were investing in real estate while we're running our business. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, and I think, I don't know, Pat, have, I don't know what was for him that made him jump out of it. But for me, it was like, I have no more passion for this. And then going to a new business and doing real estate, and
Yeah.
like I started doing loans. I
Hmm.
became a loan officer selling loans like for other people that are, so I have to learn how to network, how to ask for help. Like I grew up in a family
Yeah.
like we don't ask for help, we
Yeah.
get our shit done
Mhm.
and that's it,
Yeah.
like. And I think Pat comes from the same background too, so like you have to
Yeah.
kind of humble yourself in a certain way, and
Yeah.
then
You
have to,
also had to shed your old version of yourself. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then, and yes, and then at the same time, how can I add value to people? You don't come and ask like, Josh, I wanna no, really wanted to learn from you, blah blah blah. How can I add value to you?
Hmm.
Like you don't ask that. You kind of hear what Josh, like, Josh,
Hmm.
how's your day? What do you do? And you hear more than you talk, because you're gonna be able to see how you can add value to Josh.
Exactly.
So, how can I add value to Christiane so she can spend some of my time, look at this deal
Hmm.
with me, or help me out structuring this and that? Same thing with Pat, right? But that
True.
is the power of networking, how to network it well. That I had to learn, and I'm still learning. How to
Yeah.
build
True.
solid relationships. Like
Hmm.
Josh, like we host meet up. I never met you. I mean, I never seen you our meetups. I think you made one that I was not there.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
But
Oh,
we've been talking for like a whole
yeah,
year, like,
coming back, circling back to the value thing, like I think I even heard that, oh, I think I know somebody that does loans, and that's when I sent you Vince.
yes,
I
that was
didn't, and
part of
then
my
you like
learning.
zelled me. I didn't expect anything. It comes back to that intent. I was like, wow, that was cool. And so my
Yeah,
fans, I just was trying to help out Vince. Like I didn't know because it's just one of those things where it's kind of the same thing. Whereas
I
like, okay,
remember that. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
so
I remember that. Okay. Yes, yes.
that's
I
why I
forgot
so
was
about
like,
I,
that.
man,
I
the synergy is absolutely here, and that's why I appreciate you guys so much on multiple levels. Besides like the real estate stuff, real estate is easy, business is
yeah,
easy. People can be
but
difficult.
Yeah.
exactly. And then you go to meetups, right? So how do you like, I thought I had to meet everybody, and like, how do you build solid relationship?
Mhm.
So one thing for me, like, I don't care to meet everybody in a meetup, but if I meet two or three and I can build something solid that they understand me, I understand
Yeah,
them. I mean, I'm done. It's good. I don't need to get everybody's blank and then be crazy. And then we
yeah,
go. Do you
yeah.
see what I mean?
I've
Like,
definitely done that where I thought I had to do that as well, and I was like, you know what?
yes.
Like
Oh
so,
my gosh, it's exhausting.
it's truly exhausting, and I may have shared this with Pat, but I noticed a similarity to the music industry where there would be so many people in the studio sometimes who had nothing to do with making the record we were working on. Nothing. There might be another producer, there might be a songwriter or two, the artist might be there, maybe 4 or 5 people tops actually working on what's happening. The rest are there to take pictures, to post them on the grid, to act like they're doing something, to very much from the ego, right? So I noticed, I don't know if you guys know, I'm not very active on social media at all. And this isn't a brag because I should be, so I shouldn't be proud of this. I absolutely should be. But I do deals. I do
Yeah.
business. I'm
Yep.
not on social media, but I do business. So when I went to these meetups, like, oh, I should go to more. Again, I don't really like them. So it's like, I should go to more. I went to these meetups, and what did I see? A lot of people taking pictures, doing this. I'm at a meetup. I'm at this, that, which is great. You should be. But if I had to be on one end of the teeter totter, I would rather be on the end that's heavy doing business and not posting than heavy posting and not doing business. And when I went to some of these meetups, that's what I noticed. There's a lot of networking, like, oh yeah, I'm so and so trying to get my first deal. How can you help me? I'm like, how can I how can I help you? I could teach you.
Who are you? Who are you?
Yeah, it's
Right?
always
Like,
that. It's like,
come
oh,
What he
on.
said.
Let's
I'm
get to know
Josh.
each
Nice to meet
other.
you. Yeah,
Exactly. Yes.
it's crazy. So it's just one of those things where you kind of, if you decide to keep certain people in your proximity, you got to train them, right? Like I do my best to not text somebody in the morning without saying, hey, good morning, like hope you had a good week, whatever.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if either of you guys can go back in our text conversations, hopefully that's what you see.
Yes.
Because what was this? I think it might be from Ed Milet's book, actually. And it stuck with me because I wanted to practice that more. Is you're always making someone feel something all the time in any
Mm.
interaction. You're always making someone feel something, and it may not even be intentional. But if you're a bit more conscious about it, then you're likely going to move through this world and in business a lot better, right? Like let's say I had a terrible argument with my fiance or something before I got on this and my energy was low or whatever. I'm going to make you guys feel a certain way than what we actually feel right now because we're all having a good
Yes.
day.
Yes.
So if I wasn't mindful of that or try to be, it's just something that it's a one line that really stuck with me. You're always making
Yes.
someone feel something. And I try to convey, I suppose, my appreciation or consideration for the other person's um, headspace in whatever moment we may be interacting as often as possible.
Well, that's
Yeah.
also kind of,
People
that's also,
don't. Yeah.
but you reminding yourself that's also how you know, for me, I'm a very, not like naturally, but like on the road, I can be a dick on the road. Right? Like I
Me
was
too.
giving people fun, and I was like, okay, I'll do something. But then when people do it to me, sometimes I'm not even realizing because I'm on the phone or I'm talking or I'm in the middle of a podcast, and someone cut in front of me. I'm like, okay, instead of reacting, I'm like, okay, just let it be. And then they're zooming through people, and I'm like, okay, I was a little bit too slow for that person, and they may be in a hurry, they may have a bad day, but
Yeah.
instead of reacting, I just let them be, right? And I think it's also by telling yourself that you also are not only it's not only you reflecting yourself on them, but it's also you reflecting yourself on you. Does that make sense? Like
Exactly.
it's
Mhm.
more on you
Projecting.
than it is on them. It's like how do you react to something? Because you know, like for us, like we like when you have I don't know, like let's say your dog or a kid, right? It's like it's not always what you say, it's how you say it and then how you show it. So it's like it's the
Yeah.
mirror
That's been
effect.
a long
You
time.
put that mirror there, you're like
Mhm.
you can be as angry as possible, but then sometimes if you just reflect that at yourself and you realize that okay, that anger is reflection on me. So people and energy will reflect on you, like
Always.
on your
Always.
own energy. You know what I mean? And your own energy.
But that's is your choice, right? To say, hey,
Mhm.
I'm not taking this from me. That
Yes.
person's not gonna have any control over me. I mean, we talk about that all the time. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
like especially in traffic, you see it all the time. Like seriously, like I
We
am
do. We do.
I am on a light. It changes to green. People are already like honking behind me. I'm like, bro, it's like only happened 2 seconds ago. Like people are getting so crazy. But you know, I go. I'm not gonna allow myself to get destroyed by the energy of that person. They might have a bad day, whatever, or that might be in their nature. But it's not going to
Exactly.
take over me. I'm not going to get angry. Okay, somebody want to go faster than me, I let them go. Like, and that's what me and Pat, we talk all the time, because Pat is the
Yeah.
opposite. I'm like, you're letting these people take
Yeah.
control of your feelings. Don't allow them to do that.
But I'm letting my feelings out. Can I let my feelings out? Right? Like, is
Okay.
it
It's a
wrong
fine line.
to say let your feelings out?
It's a fine line between being able to show your feelings and just getting pissed off. So I used to
Yeah.
think, and then I started asking myself, I said, that shit was crazy. What situation would I have to be in for me to pass someone like that?
Yes, yes,
And then I was like, oh damn, well maybe someone's hurt.
yeah,
Maybe they're
Yes.
transporting somebody, maybe they just got the craziest call of their life and they're trying to get somewhere before
Exactly.
they like. So that was something that helped me a lot, because I used to be the same way. I would be like, no, I could catch up. I could like
Yes.
it would be fun. So like
Another way that made me think too, like, because I think we all been there, like angry at other people, and it just like, wow, that could have been, could be, my mom, somebody doing something to my mom, to my sister, to my brother. So when
yeah,
you start to understand things that way too, you're like, okay, whatever you put out there, it should come back to you tenfold.
oh,
So that's what I believe, and it's huge. Energy is huge.
oh, 100%.
exactly, exactly. So, Josh, I just got a question for you here. So, what were some of your for what would you say is some of your habits and routines that would for your success? Well, that contribute to your success. What are some of those?
Working on myself. Um, yeah, I'd probably read more and work on personal growth in a day more than I actively do business things.
Love that.
And
I
that
love
might
that.
sound counterproductive, or corny or however, but at least for me, and again, it's gotten me to this point at least. So another good book is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So it might not get me to my next stage, so I might have to adapt. But at least up until this point is working on myself more, man, because it's like there's you know this, we always come across new problems, right? But a previous version of ourselves might have thought that was like a massive problem, whereas now this new version of myself, because I've worked on myself so much, it's a laughable thing. It's like I stubbed my toe, where a previous version might have been like, oh shit, what
Yeah.
am I going to do? But not anymore, right? so
But I
so
love that because it's like you know how the airplanes that put your mask on first, and like
yeah,
and there's like and then it's like the other part too is like we always want to learn something, right? Like people, you go to school for this, you go to school for that, you go to college, you go to university, you go to school for that. But at the same time, it's like in the working, I guess in the working world, right? You go and you need to get a job done, you work. But if you're not working on yourself first, how much productivity are you actually putting out there? You can go there and punch the clock. You go there and do the same thing over. But if you don't work on yourself, if you don't put the mask on yourself, how can you save others? You can't. You just a dud. Like you're not helping. You're not saving anybody. You're not helping anybody if you don't
yeah,
help yourself, right? Put on
efficiently
that mask
inefficient. Exactly. Efficiently inefficient. It reminds me of another quote. Goodness, what was it? Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. So
first.
it's like, yeah, you can be as efficient as you want. And it comes back to that language barrier thing, right? Where we can, if I'm chasing my tail, trying to do deals, but I'm like, I need to work on something that might have me stuck or capped out on something, communication, whatever, then I'm not going to get anything done until I work on that. So, yeah, I've slipped up a bit because I used to wake up around 4:30, 5:30. I still go to bed really early, like old man time. I think last night I was at past bedtime. We were talking to him. But yeah, so usually I'm in bed pretty early. I wake up pretty early, and I like to read, write, and just kind of just kind of think. I'm always very comfortable with myself by myself. I think maybe that's kind of the gift of being an only child. Is I know a lot of people that can be uncomfortable with themselves, with their thoughts. I personally thrive by myself, um, and I'm choosing to perceive. I used to want a sibling all my life, so but now as an adult, I'm like, okay, maybe that was a gift in itself, where I can be by myself, allow myself to kind of sit with my thoughts and my feelings, whatever, and just kind of divvy up everything as need be, so I can do my best to present the best version of myself every day to my family, people I do business with, and whoever, anybody that encounters me that day, right?
Bro, how many dogs you got?
Three,
Three. There you go.
three dogs.
You're not by yourself. You got
That's
three
their
dogs.
kids, his kids.
Yeah, not yet. No kids yet. Man, yeah, three
I'm
dogs
teasing.
and
I'm teasing. Yeah, yes, yes.
probably run amok.
No,
So
because when you say you're the only child, I'm like, okay, how many dogs does he have? Because I'm sure he's got more than one.
oh, now I have three. Yeah, we just adopted that big ass one that popped up and started barking. He got so much bigger than we thought he was going to. We realized that he was so small when we got him, and he just got so big. Uh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
when you have kids, you're gonna start pushing them aside. Okay, dogs gotta go. Dogs gotta go.
oh, absolutely, like absolutely. I can't wait for kids, man. I'm super excited. Uh, so yeah, and that's a part of my motivator now too. Is like, all right, let's build up this portfolio. Let's do what I got to do. So when they get here, if I can kind of choose to work because they don't know what work is. They just want your time, right? And
Yes.
I'm the product of a single mom. I don't have a relationship with my dad, so I'm like super
Oh,
motivated to be like that guy to my kids. So
nice.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that, and we'll see. You know what I mean? I can't wait. But
That's
yeah, in
awesome.
terms of routines, I'm sleeping in a bit more now, like maybe 6:30, and then mostly just because like my fiance's schedule has been off, so like we'll just stay in bed a little longer together, and that's pretty much it. But
Yeah.
yeah, just that. You know what I mean? We're making sure putting on my oxygen mask first. Like you said, I love that
Yes.
parallel.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I want to add to that just if we're not prepared for the growth that you have financially or in your career, you're going to sabotage yourself. You're going to get, like imposter syndrome, because that's when the personal growth comes in, right? To be
Yeah.
able to see when things are happening for you. And it's so fun because when it start happening, you get that momentum. But if you're
Mhm.
not smart enough, or if you're not in tune to yourself and see that little voices that are trying to sabotage you, that little, recordings from when you're 5 or 8 years
Yeah.
old, things that you that made who you are today. But if
Mhm.
you keep feeding into that, you're never gonna get to the next level. You're never gonna feel that you're good enough. You're never gonna say like
Exactly.
I need to make 50,000 per deal, or you were like, oh my goodness, ask people for money, capital raising. How can I ask people for you
Yeah.
know? So you see what I mean? It all goes hand in hand with what you believe you can do. That
Absolutely.
all comes here. That's why I think it's so important to do the personal. Nothing happens unless you personally there, so you
It
can
can't.
level up.
It can't. And what's funny is what I've noticed too, or at least it's a theory, is it absolutely can't. You're 100% right. And but if you have done enough of the personal growth and you are ready for more, but you still want to stay comfortable, I've noticed that the universe has a way
Yeah.
of pushing you to do that
Oh,
shit anyway, like enforcing you, like, no, you're ready, so go ahead
yeah.
and hurry up.
It's like
And yeah,
it
move
takes
forward.
you everything.
Yeah,
It's like when those. I think what that's what I'm going through this year. Probably Pat is the same.
me
I don't
too.
know.
This whole year has been like, oh man, like a whole year of
Like it
growth.
shook everything off,
Yeah,
like, and I'm like, what is going on? And then like, okay, I gotta move because the universe is kind of telling me, make
uh,
me
Be
uncomfortable so I
comfortable.
can get
Yes.
to move and be what I'm came to this world to do, my
exactly.
purpose.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
then when everything flows, because when you are in the right path, everything flows. It should not be a struggle, right? Like you
Yeah,
isn't it true? Like
it's
you
very
get that
true.
momentum fast and you go. But I
It's
believe too, but every step of your growth, you're gonna deal with that some like you're always gonna have to do the
always,
personal growth.
always, and that's what I'm like, man. Kind of the same thing with you, where I'm like, man, a whole year of growth, really? Like a whole year?
Yes,
That's crazy. Come on.
yes.
And then
But
again,
we're leveling up. I'm telling you, we're
yeah,
leveling up.
it all made sense on a 45-minute phone call I had last night. I was like, oh, this is why, which was cool. It literally just happened last night. I was like, oh, this is why this whole year has been a thing because of this
Yeah.
phone call. It was an amazing opportunity. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. Well, now I'm excited. That's going to give me the motivation to kind of finish getting through this shit and, and keep it moving.
Yes.
But, uh, but yeah, it's nothing can happen without the growth. It's just kind of like the thing where people win the lottery, but they haven't
Yes.
developed themselves enough to keep it. It's the
Exactly.
same thing, right? We can't get everything we think we want, until, almost until we want what we have, but until we finish working on ourselves enough to actually keep what
Yeah.
we want and attain it and just attract it. Really, what's that Jim Rohn thing where it's like you become the person that is attracts everything you want instead of
Yeah.
chasing everything.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
Another cool philosophy. I've been super deep into Eastern philosophy as well. And are you familiar with Wu Wei? It's a
Mm-mm.
Taoist philosophy.
No, but I've seen it, but I'm not. I don't know much about it. No.
It's dope. It's pretty much where like let go and let God. What people say often is like let God grab the wheel or whatever. It's kind of the same philosophy, but it came from the Tao Te Ching, which is like I don't know, a few hundred years BC. Really cool book, and it's pretty much just that. Like literally, when you're in the flow, just let it flow. It's not, you can't
Yeah.
force. Don't force anything. Everything, if you're doing what you know you should be doing, because deep down we all know what we should be doing for the most part, at least what we should not be doing, uh, we we will go ahead and do that. Most things fall into place, and I've really been at a place now where I'm able to actually practice that, no matter how stressed or worried may creep in. Again, battling yourself, I'll just kind of listen to some stuff or read some stuff where like I can kind of put my bowling bumpers on, if you will, and not have my mind go into the gutter, and I'll just stay in the lanes, right? And yeah, it's the Wu Wei is a really cool philosophy. I'll send you guys some stuff that
Okay.
I like. They're really cool.
Nice. Nice.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, awesome, man. So, what would you? So, just a few more questions there. So, what would you tell the older version of yourself if you could give
Ooh,
your older version advice?
how old?
Um, as maybe before you shedding your different parts of life, what would you tell the older version of yourself? However old, maybe the one that needs the help, or maybe the one that needed you the most now, the one that
Oh,
needed
younger
you.
version. So a
Yeah.
past version of myself.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
The one that needed you, the one that needs this version now. If you were to go back, whether that's your
It's kind of tough. I love the question. It's a brilliant question. It's interesting because I never had a male role model, like at all. Like there's no competent men on my side of the family. Like I'm genuinely the first one. So for me, it's tough because it's always been my goal to be the guy who I thought I needed.
okay.
Um, so to kind of like I had to be resourced. I've been the man of the house since I was a kid. So to kind of I guess just trust myself, to just trust yourself, to trust it, trust your gut. Um, God, there's so many layers to that question. I love it. Um, really, just trust yourself. I suppose if you mean well, you will do well, and I genuinely believe that. So I
That's
would just
that's
say
that's
trust
my
yourself.
point. I agree. I'm the same way. Like I may not know everything, but I mean well. Like I may not know everything, but at least like I have good intent, right? Like what you're talking about
Exactly.
there.
You
Yes.
can't
Yes.
go wrong with that.
Yes.
You might like fall down, get a few scabs or whatever, but like you'll be good. You can't go wrong. As opposed to moving around trying to do everyone dirty on every single thing, it's not
Yes.
sustainable. You can't do that. So yeah, if you mean well, you'll do well, and trust your gut. Is I suppose what I would say.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was going to ask you about the book, but you already kind of mentioned like 10 books already in this podcast.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
No,
Like I
it's
said,
cool. Up to you. Up to you. That was cool.
I,
Yes. Yes.
another good book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I think I talked about it before. I'd actually highly recommend that one
Is
because
it
it's
psycho-cybernetics?
Psycho-Cybernetics. It's remember what Christiani was saying about if you can't kind of be beyond your identity.
Yes.
It's written by a plastic surgeon actually, and what he realized was that a lot of people that were getting these plastic surgeries to think they were going to feel better about themselves, it didn't work. These people would make their noses smaller and things like that, and ultimately still think they had a big nose, which obviously it was internal and they needed to work on themselves. So it's a really good book about like how you really won't go beyond who you decide to identify as. It turns more into a business book. I know Tony Robbins recommends the book a lot. A lot of people do. Um, it's a great book. Highly recommend it.
Oh,
Amazing.
fantastic. Yes.
Awesome. Well, man, it's been amazing. It's been
You guys are the
fantastic.
best.
Love having you
I mean, I
on.
can stay here all day long. I mean, it's
Honestly, me too.
awesome.
Me too.
So
If I didn't
how
have
can
to go
people
get a haircut,
find you?
I absolutely would.
How can people find you, Josh?
Oh, Instagram. When I occasionally post, I post more stories than I do actual posts, but Instagram, forward thinking Josh. That's pretty much it. Instagram. You guys are encouraging me to show myself a lot more, so I'll probably be. I know Pat and I are going to be doing a lot more. I'm confident I'll be around.
You know,
Yep.
I'm encouraging myself to. I hate one of my kryptonite. I hate being on camera. I hate it,
You
but I'm
too.
working. I oh
Yeah,
my God, I hate it. You can ask
you're
Chris. It's,
my inspiration. Yeah,
it's hard,
I
man. It's hard,
yeah.
man. So
So yeah, I
we're not
appreciate
on that.
you guys. Truly, truly grateful for this whole relationship and what it's turning into. It feels great. I think it's. I'm excited to see what it turns into.
Exactly.
Amazing,
Yes.
amazing guys. Well, it's been awesome. Christiani, thank you for
Excited
co-hosting
too.
today. Josh,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Such a
Let's do this
pleasure.
again.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining our Living Out Loud. Club Jai, Sabadi. We guys talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Peace. Chris, how you turn this off?
Leave. Do you see leave there?
I do leave,